So let's talk about clothing first of all. There's three basic layers that you have to think about when you're wearing clothes for cold weather activities. You've all heard the wicking layer, the insulation layer, and the windproofing layer. All right. The wicking layer it's very contemporary long underwears and things that they have like fleece, like a light fleece underwear, or polyester underwear, or polypropylene underwear, or even a wool underwear work great. What you don't want to use, and I'm sure all of you have heard this, is cotton. Yeah, I've got cotton on today too. But never you use cotton when you're trying to keep warm. All right. Silk has its merits, but it's probably not as warm as some of the other ones. And let me explain. I mean, silk is good, and it's especially for the windproofing effect of silk too, which is also good. But from my personal experiences, I've tested all these things, and the one thing that the underwear of today gives you that's just incredible is that you can get completely wet, and it's still warm. And I know this because I have skied into a hole in the ice intentionally to see how we would do this in training. Okay? So all our clothes are totally wet. We take them off, wring them out, put them back on, and ski like hell to dry them on our bodies. But you will stay warm, all right? So that's very important, this wicking layer. The insulation.
Is the key to take them off and make them out?
Yes, you have to get as much water out of them as you possibly can, right? And you can do that by wringing and slinging and anything else that you can do to get that water out.
How does that compare to wool?
Wool, the thing with wool is wool is warm when wet. I haven't done any exact measurements of that, but I do know that it, just from experience, that it's warm when wet. The hard part about wool is drying it compared to the other, the polar fleece or the polypropylene or the capline or whatever. And that's the key, is being able to dry it. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. And silk, cotton, and wool all have these properties that the other materials, the other synthetics do not have. It's a property of the material on how to dry it. The insulative layer, of course, is, like you have your polar fleece and things like that. And you can have down or whatever, to make this insulation that you have to have. And of course, that can come in several layers or just one layer, depending upon how cold it is. The last layer is the wind layer, and this is just as important as any of the other layers, and all it has to be, it literally, is an nylon shell, all right? I mean, it does not have to be anything high-tech, and there's this marketing. When you start to buy clothing, you have to think about what is the marketer trying to make me buy here, all right? So you'll see things like Gore-Tex. Now, Gore-Tex is good for this 45 to 25 range. Okay, so if you're going to have a plan on being wet, you probably want to have some kind of protection from that. And in fact, if you talk from somebody that's doing winter activities in Seattle, Washington area, they're going to swear by Gore-Tex. Where we are here, like in the Porcupine Mountains, when it gets to be below 25 degrees up there, you're not going to get wet. Okay, and you need something that breathes, because when you start to become active, you can literally, there's no use making yourself completely wet from the inside, which you will if it doesn't breathe. Right. And if you think that, the pit zips and everything are there just for, a marketing thing, no, they're there because it doesn't breathe right in the first place. Okay? Let me show you what we wear to the Arctic. You're not going to pass this stuff around. Just make sure that it gets back to me and not in between the seats or anything. Okay, so it's just this light. Literally, I have been in minus 45 degree weather with wind pants on, which were just nylon, Supplex nylon pants, and a pair of long underwear. I have never worn polar fleece. I've always had them, polar fleece pants, never worn them. Okay, so I do know from experience that I'm two layers on my bottom. Okay, then on the top I have my long underwear top. Okay, I have like a polar fleece top, and then we ski in this. And this is, the reason I'm showing this is just because I know that it works. It's got a skirt around it, okay? So there's 2 layers within here. The one layer lets the water through very easily, the vapor from your body. So that if it does start to freeze, it freezes on this outside layer and it just sheds off. It doesn't get you wet again, all right? And it's just a Supplex nylon shell is all it is to keep the wind off. And I gave you a catalog that shows this kind of equipment. Not that I'm supporting these people or anything, but that at least you can find out where this kind of equipment is made to go in very cold conditions. Yeah.
Jeff, what level of underwear do you wear? Light, medium, or heavy?
I usually wear the light if I'm active. I mean, and actually, as it turns out, that's all I've never. When we do stop, we put on our our parkas made out of down, and that's all it takes to keep us warm because we are so hot from the exercise that we're doing. And see, like, I mean, if you were on with this Porcupine Mountain project or anything like that, you saw that most of them had their hats off and stuff like that, pulling those sleds and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, how to kind of keep warm in doing that too, because there's energy levels that you have to think about. You have to constantly be thinking about what you're going to be doing next, so that you can get the proper energy level there too. Okay?
The nylon doesn't trap all the moisture inside.
No.
Both these layers, Jeff, are just nylon?
Yes.
Both
Both of them are
layers
nylon.
also?
And the thing with the inner layer is that you can take a belt and put it around the inner layer. So the inner layer then is formed around your body, and it makes it so that the wind can't get up underneath the blousiness of the outer layer. All right? But Richard Weber, who's an Arctic explorer, they make a similar product. You get on their website, CanadianArcticHolidays.com. He'll show you that it's just Supplex nylon that they use for their outer layer. And of course, this is wintergreen, the catalog I gave you. Okay, as we already said, don't use cotton. The reason that cotton kills, so to speak, is because there is a property of materials, of the natural materials, wool, cotton, and silk, which makes them what is called hygroscopic, which means that they pick up water. All right? Even in a humid environment, any humidity at all, the material will pick up water. Okay, you can leave a page of this paper outside, and it will start to curl as it picks up water. All right. As that water leaves, then, the evaporation of it cools you down. Okay, and that's why cotton keeps you cold. It's because you will get it wet, and it's also hard to dry too. But as the water leaves the cotton, it will cool you down. All right. And we can do a demonstration of this a little bit later. But everybody knows that if you get wet, put any wetness on your hand at all, and blow across it, that there is a cooling process that goes on from that evaporation. And that's what's happening with the cotton that makes you colder. With regards to wool and silk, they are also hygroscopic, but I believe that they hold on to the water a little bit better, so that it doesn't evaporate off so fast. Because wool is very hard to dry, as you know. Once it gets wet, I mean, if you get your wool wet when you're out, it's going to take a long time to actually dry it. But you can still wear it, but it's just really tough to dry. Whereas the cotton, you probably could dry it on your body, but it's going to freeze you in the process of doing it.